time to wake up. We have walked the walk many years, many times. We have walked in silence. We have expressed our voices. People have died.
The skin I'm in is the skin I'm in. And there is so much more than the skin I'm in. The skin you see is the skin on me, but that is just a hue of me. Though of value, there's still much more beyond what you see in me. When you listen, as I share my story, you will hear stories of triumph and also challenge. Narratives of pain, but also passion. You will hear a funny story, or maybe two, and find some of me is like some of you. Just take time, that's all I ask, to see what your mind previously let pass. At first glance, at first glimpse, when bias covered your mind's lens, and only saw the skin I'm in.
Most of my concerns weren't really heard, and I don't know if it's because of COVID, with the system being so impacted, and that was a fear of mine going into the pregnancy, knowing previous experiences that I've had before. I just noticed each appointment that I'd ask a question or I'd bring up concerns, and then they were kind of dismissed. One appointment even, she didn't even do the heartbeat or check the heartbeat. And after she's checking me out, and I'm like, wait, is everything okay? We didn't, even do, like when I brought up the concerns, like I don't think that I'm being monitored closely. And because of the issues that I had and complications with my pregnancy, I'd ask questions. And I just didn't feel like I was being heard.
I have to go in there so no nonsense and so factual with all of my records printed in hand, everything so together, so that you cannot dismiss me because I know what I'm talking about and what I'm doing. But I have to reel it back a little because I don't want to be labeled difficult. Because once you're labeled difficult, that's dangerous. Because once you're labeled difficult, they'll be dismissive of you. They'll fight you tooth and nail on everything that you tell them you don't want or you do want. And it's scary.
I think they a lot of times Black women just get a lower level of care. It's hard. I've been a patient. I've been a patient that was very, very sick. And a lot of times I wasn't listened to. And it's frustrating. It's scary. It's really scary.
I have some clients who, of course, had, traumatic births, and a huge piece of it was they weren't heard. They weren't validated. They were saying they were in pain and they weren't really believed. They were asking for pain meds and they were just viewed as like, oh, drug seeking. I know some people that are like, for my next birth, I'm doing it at home with a doula and a midwife because I just don't trust the hospital to take care of me. They feel like they just kind of get lost in the system. Maybe they're given like, a crappy room where they have to wait extra long. So just really feeling like they are not seen, as equally as others. That's really been a tough thing that I think needs improvement.
I actually had a patient who sought out a Black OBGYN. College educated, did her own research, was finding out things on ACOG and, things about Black women not doing well in pregnancy, right? Or having poor outcomes. And so she sought out a Black physician with the hopes of being able to kind of mitigate that for herself. One of the questions that she asked me as we got later into her prenatal care that really just kind of broke my heart was, if you're not gonna be there, can someone who's Black be there? And the fact that somebody has to ask that just to ensure that they're going to get good quality care is awful.
Yes, I have the resources to provide excellent care. What is our biggest limitation, at least for me? Time. The volume of patients who need good care is a lot. And one person, even of 22 physicians in my department, we can only do so much. And over these past few years with the pandemic, we have been stretched quite thin because physicians are also human. So you say, do I have the tools, the resources? How do I provide excellent care to my patients? I think that I do a pretty good job, but time is important. And I always say, you want to make somebody a bad doctor, just give them too many patients, right? So you give them just enough patients and give them the resources that they need, and you're going to get good care.
When I did see OBs previously, I felt like they didn't care. They just wasn't trying to hear me out. Like one doctor was like, yeah, you're having a miscarriage. Okay, we're going to send you home. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, we tested your levels and they're really low, so you're probably miscarried tonight.
So completely lacking in empathy, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. I'm really sorry.
It's okay.
I got really bad postpartum depression after I had my first daughter. And when I talked to my OBGYN about it, I kind of feel like it was kind of like written off a little bit. Like, oh, like you're a new mom, like you'll be okay. And then it got really bad. And so I went to see a therapist who kind of thought that it was triggered because of how horrible my labor experience was. But I feel like postpartum depression is just not something that people like to talk about, because I feel like in your mind, it's like you don't want to be, weak or a bad mom, or however you're judged or seen for trying to say that you're depressed. So it's because it's like, what are you depressed for? You have a brand new baby and all of that. So I feel like postpartum depression needs to be something that is talked about, normalized. Everything that happened, I feel like I just kind of kept it inside. And then when I finally, exploded or had a moment where I broke down, like my husband was there for me.
Don't think that lady that's coming from Newport Beach is just life is great. Many times they're in situations where if they are not working, they're at the mercy of their husbands and what's happening in those family situations. Don't forget about domestic violence. Just because she's driving a Mercedes and got plenty of money, don't think that her mental health and wellness is not being compromised because of the situations that she's living in. So there's a lot of stereotype. You got to let that go and understand that human beings are human beings.
I lost my dad to COVID. Literally, he came home from my wedding not feeling well, and that was the 1st of May. By June 20th, my dad was gone. I struggled to attach to this pregnancy, number one, out of fear, because there was 2 and the risk goes double, and I already had him at 30 weeks, so I'm nervous. And then also I struggled to attach because I'm still grieving my dad. So it's a thing where I never thought I'd see the day where I'd have children that he wasn't here to meet.
I have anxiety, so being in the house, it kind of drove me crazy because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. I just felt smothered. And I got fat.
I was struggling with a lot, and I feel confident this time around. She catches me on my good days where I'm sarcastic and I'm funny. She catches me on my days where I'm like, look, don't let me die. I'm scared. She catches me on my days where it's kind of like I'm mentally, emotionally struggling. So I feel like this time around, my team knows me pretty well.
Are you providing equitable care? Is the same population in Newport Beach, although it's a different population, why is it that you would perhaps treat the patient in Santa Ana differently? Should you treat the patient in Santa Ana differently? And I'm going to tell you, yes, you should. You should treat them differently because they don't have the same resources. Therefore, they need more. That's called equity, right? So you need a little bit more education. You need a little bit more access to resources in medicine. You need to ask that question about, does she feel like she has a meal and she has a stable place to live? And because all those things are going to have an impact on that baby. So you need to ask those questions.
I have a lot of women that come in that are same-sex partners, and it's nice, because they want to have a child, and so they're going through the process. I don't get people before they get pregnant most of the time, unless it's a consultation about a medical problem they have. So they're already pregnant, and I think our office is very supportive. It's something I feel very comfortable with. Now, most recently, I had a transgender couple come in, and they wanted to get pregnant. And I was really embarrassed because I didn't really know, about the hormones. One of the partners was taking male hormones, the other one's taking female hormones, and I wasn't really well versed on a lot of the issues. But I didn't want to say, I don't know what I'm talking about or anything like that. I honestly admitted I didn't know, but by tomorrow I will know everything. I will be the expert on this topic, and we can talk again then. It felt good. I learned a lot, and it felt comfortable. And everyone in the office, I liked it because everyone treated them with respect, and it was not a big deal.
I mean, even if you're not a Black doctor, I feel like that is something that needs to be pushed on doctors. Not everybody has the same birthing experience. Not everybody has the same pregnancy experience. Not everybody has the same pain threshold, or not everybody wants to, go with the norm or whatever it is. And so I feel like whatever your preference is, or whatever you're comfortable with, or, if you have concerns, I feel like all of that should be taken into consideration. And, if I'm telling you this hurts, or I don't want to do that, or what are the other options, I feel like that should be something that, you keep in mind.
There's such a big calamity right now around the OB care of Black women, is because we don't get this. We don't get, when you go to your regular doctor because you have a cold or a flu, you go and you come home, that was it. You probably won't see that doctor again except maybe once a year for a physical, for a flu shot, if that, because you probably go to CVS for that. And when you have to see a doctor every day, and this person, you're relying on this person. I think, especially of our generation, our youth, we don't see doctors as much as we did when our parents were growing up. So it was really just kind of like it's not something I have to worry about because it doesn't really pertain to me. But when it becomes a part of your daily, or you're relying on these doctors, that's when you see the importance.
I love my patients. I love talking to them. I love, being part of their process, part of their experience. It's funny, I get invited to all the baby showers and the 1-year-old to your 3-year-old birthdays. It's fun. I love it. I feel like I'm part of their family, part of the experience that they're going through. And so it's very, very rewarding for me.
I love the fact that you get to be a part of this joyous journey, this really exciting part of someone's life, but not even just them, it's growing a family, right? So I think being able to just be a part of that is really exciting, and it's quite a privilege.
The thing that honestly has surprised me the most is, even though he's always been my partner, how much more my husband has stepped up this time around than last time without me having to even ask. It's like, he always does things for me. His love language is acts of service. So he always does things for me, like he'll make my side of the bed and turn my warm blanket on, or he'll bring me water at the end of every night. And more so, he stepped it up in areas with my son, because my son and my household and managing bills and things like that's my area. And he's stepped up and kind of taken over like nighttime routine. So he gives him his meds, he gives him his dinner, he gives him his bath. Sometimes he'll read to him, sometimes I'll read to him. I don't have to remind him, it's 8:30, he should be turning the game off and coming to get meds. My husband's already on it.
Also with postpartum care, each pregnancy, the postpartum team was amazing, really nice, helpful. The lactation consultant that they have that comes in and checks on you. So I felt that they were a great support group. The most important one I feel like is the lactation consultant, because you're trying to figure it out and you want your baby to latch and am I doing it right? But luckily with my children, all of them latched easily and didn't have any issues.
The only thing that really made it easier was I had my husband and my mom with me in the room. I think if I was by myself or it was just my husband, I would have been a little bit more nervous?
After my first son, I was like, I want to become a doula or something. Like, I want to help, moms. This is such an amazing experience, but it's also so challenging. And I want there to be more resources, more support, more connection, more just like knowledge going into things about breastfeeding or just how having a baby can affect your marriage, things like that. Balancing being a working mom and the guilt that comes with that. So I ended up choosing to really focus my therapy practice on working with postpartum moms, pregnant moms, postpartum moms, and that was amazing. I really feel that my experiences can give me the empathy I need for my clients. It helps me connect with them.
It's new life. It's a new beginning. It's an opportunity. It's being a part of someone's life, especially the first pregnancy, when they don't know what to do, they've never had this experience before, and to see new life through their eyes is really exciting. I do get jaded and I do like to sleep, so I don't know how I kind of got into this profession, because I really do like to sleep. So, but you stay up a lot. But what is it that really encourages me? People excited about changing their life through the birth of a new life. So whatever it is that happened in their lives or happening, whether it's positive or negative, they take that opportunity to do something different. They're very open to changing habits. They stop drinking, they stop smoking, they eat better, they exercise, they change relationships because they want to be a better person. That is exciting. And to be a part of that, especially in the African American community, you can't beat that.
That care would look like an acknowledgement. That care would look like double checking for unintentional bias, for unconscious bias. That care would look like more Black doctors.
I feel like don't hold back information from the patient. Like with my second daughter, her cord was actually wrapped around her neck. And I didn't know until my husband told me when we were already home. So I'm like, things like, yeah, you don't want to freak the patient out, but things like that, I feel like as her mother, I feel like I should know.
Just be yourself. Just treat them the same way you'd want to be treated. There's, it shouldn't be any different. You just treat them, you just give them good medical care. That's all. And you're compassionate.
I think you just need to make sure that you're understanding what your patient's concerns are, what their goals are, and making sure that you guys are on the same page of what you can provide. And if you can't provide all the necessary things to make sure that that person is not just doing well but also thriving, you need to get other people on board so that you can provide that good care. So I don't really look at my patients as this person is trans or this person is Black or this person is this. Everyone gets good care. Everyone deserves great care, period.
That when you come in, you feel like people care about you. Because I guarantee you that my white colleagues and their white patients, they absolutely feel and are entitled to the fact that you gonna treat me well and I'm gonna get what I need. But that is not the experience for African Americans or for Latino or brown other people. No, that's what I want to change.
So honestly, like having a Black nurse come in for that pregnancy and delivery, and then also for my second delivery, a Black nurse came in at the very end. That just felt really comforting to me, just to see someone in there that looked like me, that I felt like, okay, this is my sister, she's got my back. That was really helpful.
I pretty much feel that I just want them to pay attention to me, just listen to me, and just be understanding and don't just brush me off.
I don't believe in the myth of the angry Black woman. I believe in the magic of Blackness. See, we are the builders. We are the bridges. We are the connections that stick and that lead you to riches. You wonder where they got it from? Well, they got it from us. Their novelty is our natural. Their rehearsal is our off the cuff. If you ever feel not enough, know this. are exalted.